Hi, welcome back to my channel. So apparently I am gonna do some videos without makeup on. It's my quarantine look. Anyway, welcome back to my channel. My name is Becca. Today I am doing my March wrap up. I did finish my Owls, however, I kind of switched up the books that I was reading. My first Owls was Charms, which was Lumos Maxima, white cover, and I chose Nevernight by J. Kristoff. I did give this book 5 stars. It is something that I don't normally read. I did give it 5 stars because I enjoyed a lot of it, but it was very, very raunchy. It's very like gross, I guess. I don't know, like I have a hard time describing it. Her moral character is a little bit different than what the normal YA is, and so but overall I'm glad I read it. I'm glad that I picked it up and I finally read it. So yeah, that was Charms. The next one, I kind of had the same thing with this one, was Arithmancy, Magical Qualities of the number 2, Balance and Opposites. Read something outside of your favorite genre. This couldn't be further from my favorite genre. It is a graphic novel. It's called I Hate Fairyland by Scotty Young. It's volume 1, Madly Ever After. And wow. Like, this is not a kid's book in the least. It is very gross, disgusting. The character reminds me of a Terrible Twos type child personality, where she kind of freaks out if she doesn't get her way, and it's a lot of like gross murdery type things that happen with it within the story. It was not my cup of tea. Let's just put it like that. I gave it 3 stars because the storyline didn't wow me in the least. I felt like I was reading a temper tantrum, and I have kids, and that's just not my, you know, I'm not drawn to that type of thing where, you know, it kind of irked me. Her personality irked me, but it's not something that I enjoyed. And I know a lot of people love it, but it just wasn't my type of read. The next book I read was for Ancient Runes, and Ancient Runes is heart rune, or like it's for heart rune. You either have a heart on the cover or in the title. And so I chose Heartstone by L. Catherine White. This was an amazing book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. It is a Jane Austen spin-off of Pride and Prejudice. Has dragons in it. The lead male character and the lead female character, they don't get along at all. It is amazing, and I love how the storyline is its own story. It's got its own plot line, but it has like the major components of Pride and Prejudice, and I loved it. I couldn't put it down once I picked it up. Amazing story. It is a trilogy. I ordered the 2nd and the 3rd book off of Amazon, and so I have all 3 books. I'm really excited to get to the next 2 books. This is definitely my jive. And for the next book was my divination book. It's Third Eye. Assign numbers to your TBR and use a random number generator to pick your read. I didn't do that. I just randomly grabbed a couple books off my shelf, laid them on. I think I picked like 10 books. Had my eldest daughter come in, and she just randomly chose a book for me. And what she chose was The Queen's Assassin by Melissa de la Cruz. Like there's supposed to be like a big spin to the book at the end, but I kind of had it pegged within the first chapter of the book, and so that kind of, it spoiled it for me. I mean, it wasn't a bad read by any means, but it just didn't intrigue me. It was very blah, like meh, blah, you know, one of those kind of reads. But I did give it, let's see here. Oh, I actually was very favorable to it. I gave it 4 stars. Probably just because, like, I did enjoy it while I was reading it, but then after I got done reading it, I couldn't tell you what happened in it. I guess it was one of those kind of reads. And then I was kind of disappointed with knowing what was going to happen at the ending, like figuring out what was going to happen like right away. For the last 3 months, I've been reading Cassandra Clare books because I had a goal to read all of her books in 3 months, which I did it. I'm so excited. So for my astronomy class, for night classes, read the majority of this book when it is dark outside, which I completely did. And I just totally dropped that. I read Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare, and this is book 1 in the Dark Artifices of her books, and I gave this book 5 stars. I really enjoyed reading this book. So you're following a group of kids that all live together. Their crazy uncle is in charge of them. However, one of the older siblings is actually running everything, and he's parabatai with his best friend, who he and his parabatai actually fall for each other, which that's a big no-no in the parabatai, you know, in the Shadowhunter world. You're not supposed to fall in love with your parabatai. I did kind of feel like I was reading another Jason Clary type read. Like, that's kind of how the characters read to me, like the 2 main characters. That's how they kind of read to me. And then you have his siblings that you learn more about, and they have their own little drama stuff going on in it. I did really enjoy this first book. Second to my last Owls book is History of Magic, and it is Witch Hunts, a book featuring witches, wizards, and I chose because it has warlocks in it, magical. You get it. It works. So for that, I read Lord of Shadows by Cassandra Clare. This is the second book in the Dark Artifices. This is kind of where I think the series, no, I still enjoyed this one. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. It read like a lot of her other books. I still felt like I started to, I guess, get bored with the lead character romance slash they're not supposed to have the romance, but there's that forbidden romance. And it, like I said, it read a lot like Clary and Jace, and so that I got bored with it. You know, I've seen that trope done, and I mean, even though it wasn't exactly the same, there was still like, oh, you're not supposed to fall in love with your parabatai. And so I felt like I was bored reading their parts. However, there were other romances going on in the background, which I found a lot more intriguing. I was a lot more enthralled in what those were going on. And so, yeah, that's just my opinion. I did give it 5 out of 5 stars because it's Cassandra Clare. She has a way of just sucking you in and keeping you like enthralled in her books. Next book I had to read was my last book for my Owls, which was Transfiguration, Animagus Lecture, a book or series that includes shape-shifting. And I read Ghosts of the Shadow Market. And I was told that I should read this one before reading the 3rd book in the last series, the Dark Artifices. So I went ahead and read this one first, which was a bad idea because it totally spoiled everything for the 3rd book. Anyway, that's my soapbox. Because it has werewolves in it, that worked well for my Transfiguration. I gave this book 4 stars. It was a very interesting read. You follow Jem Carstairs. It follows him in throughout his long life up into the current time that the Dark Artifice is reading. Like I said, this book spoiled some of the stories, because this is a compilation of different stories throughout Jem Carstairs' life. And it did spoil the third book in the Dark Artifices. So I just want to let you guys know, if you are reading the Dark Artifices, try and just read them before you read this one, because it did kind of ruin it for me. It was still a really good read. I love me some Jem, and so I got a lot more of Jem and Tessa and you know, even Will in this, and it was great. I read Queen of Darkness by Cassandra Clare, and this is the third and final book in this little trilogy of her books. And it is Queen of Air and Darkness, and this one felt like it took forever. It's a big mammoth of a book. It has 880 pages in this thing. And like I said, I was spoiled for this book coming out of the last one. Oh, I forgot something. The ending of this book killed me. The second book in the series, oh my gosh, like I bawled like a baby. Just had to put that in there. But back to this one. This one, because I knew what was going on and what was going to happen, it ruined it for me. And so I was just kind of reading it to read it, just to say that I read it. I gave this book 3 stars. I think it was because I was spoiled for it. I didn't enjoy how things ended in this, you know, and then, yeah. So anyway, it's hard for me to give accurate wrap-up information without really spoiling anything, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. Finally, the last book that I read this month was Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy. And this is a compilation of stories, and it is read by Simon. This book is mostly about Simon, and he goes to, it's basically after the end of the Mortal Instruments. And he goes to the academy to become a shadow hunter, and it's a bunch of different compilation stories. It was really good. Like I really, for it being like kind of a novella compilation story, I really enjoyed this one. It was a good book to end on after reading all of the Cassandra Clare books. And I you know, I think out of all the compilation books, I think this one was my favorite. I just really enjoy Simon's personality. He's very funny. He's not serious. He does have some serious moments, or he can be serious from time to time, but he's just very lighthearted and funny. And I needed that in a book for what's going on in my life right now. And yeah, I really enjoyed that one. After reading all of the Cassandra Clare books, I would have to say that I still enjoy The Infernal Devices is my top storyline of all the Cassandra Clare books. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I had a really enjoyable reading month. I only read 9 books, but those books were mammoth books. And so I don't feel bad that I only read 9 books. I'm very excited that I finally finished that goal of reading all of Cassandra Clare books. Now I'm trying to think of, okay, well, what book series should I read next? And so if you guys have any ideas of like another longer series that I should be reading next to kind of like do, you know, that I can do as a goal to read through next, go ahead and put that in the comments below if you have any ideas. Otherwise, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are all staying healthy, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.